I think it's fair to say that CD Projekt Red has had a rough week. After the messy launch of Cyberpunk 2077, the apology statement, and the promise to refund all unsatisfied customers last night, in an unprecedented move, Sony forced CD Projekt Red's hand and pulled Cyberpunk 2077 from its PlayStation Store. Games have been removed from digital stores before in this fashion. Warner Brothers removed Batman Arkham Knight from Steam. Sony clearly aren't having any of it. And now Microsoft have just come out and also announced that they are accepting refunds on the game, whereas of a couple of days ago, there was some trouble and difficulty with customers getting a refund on the Xbox. Microsoft tweeted earlier today, Cyberpunk 2077, to ensure that every player can get the experience they expect on Xbox, we will be expanding our existing refund policy to offer full refunds to anyone who purchased Cyberpunk 2077 digitally from the Microsoft Store until further notice. While we know that the developers at CD Projekt Red have worked hard to ship Cyberpunk 2077 in extremely challenging circumstances, we also realize that some players have been unhappy with the current experience on older consoles. And Best Buy also just recently announced they are accepting refunds on the physical version through December 21st, and that even includes if you've opened the game. And that's also very interesting to see Best Buy stepping in and offering refunds on the physical. So we'll have to wait and see if GameStop now offers refunds on the physical edition. As you know, GameStop is very, very protective and restrictive of sending a game back for a full refund. There's a lot of restrictions around that, so we'll see what happens with the physical editions of this game as well. Now, you only have a few days to get a refund from Best Buy, but it's still the absolute right move that they are making. So where does CD Projekt go from here? Obviously, they need to work to address the issues. Get those patches out, get those bug fixes out, get the performance to an acceptable level, and win back the trust of the public. Now, I do want to talk about getting the game back on the PlayStation Store because it will be a challenge for them. I want to talk about something that has come up over the last few days with regards to the QA or the certification process. That Microsoft and Sony allowed the game to pass certification, although they knew the game was buggy. And this information is it's incorrect. So the certification process works something like this. When a game is dev complete and it's been QA tested and the developer is ready to send the game to the platform holder for certification, that certification process doesn't test for bugs. It's not there to test for, broken textures or T-posing or, issues with the music or, things like that. Like stuff that are bugs aren't the responsibility of the platform holder. That's not what certification is there for. The certification process is simply to ensure that your game does not cause any damage to the console and it works within the confines of the system. So for example, if I am working on a Nintendo Switch game, that particular game needs to be able to resume from sleep if I turn off the power, or it must be able to resize its resolution if I dock the game into the Switch dock, or if I take it off the Switch dock. Or on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox game, for example, the platform-specific button icons for the controller must be present so the user knows what buttons they need to press. There's many different certification rules per platform. There's literally hundreds of them, and all of them are tested. Now, if something fails, or if many of them fail, the certification process can be halted and sent back to the developer, and then they must address the issue and recertify the game, submit the game back for recertification. But I think the issue that has occurred here is that the number of crashes that are occurring would be enough for the game to not get certified. On the PlayStation 5, if you play that game for at least a couple of hours, you're going to run into at least a couple of crashes. And if you play it within a 3 to 4 day window, expect at least 2 or 3 crashes a day. I think the certification process, when that was occurring, they were receiving enough crashes in the game where they sent the game back to CD Projekt Red and said, look, your game's crashing and this is a fail. So you guys need to come up with a way to fix this and make the game more stable. CD Projekt Red most likely then applied for what's known as a waiver, and that essentially is just a promise to address the issue on a day one patch, which is what they did. Now, that day one patch came out, but it didn't seem to address the crashing issues. As we've seen on the PlayStation 4, on the PlayStation 5, there are many reports of the game frequently crashing in many different situations. And ultimately, I think this is what led Sony to come back and say, look, this game is not at a level of quality that we're expecting. Although there was a certification process they went through and they did apply for a waiver, at the end of the day, it's those crashes that's what's causing Sony to basically turn around and say, look, we don't want this game on the store. It's really not at a level of performance and quality that we're expecting. You guys need to go back and resolve these issues, and then we can talk about getting the game back on the store. Now, in order for Cyberpunk 2077 to return to the PlayStation Store, they must address these issues with their patches. They outlined a hotfix before Christmas, and then 2 patches, one in January and one in February, to address these issues on console. This will mean that the game will need to go through recertification. They'll need to recertify this game once again for it to return to the PlayStation Store. And I think it's safe to say this time around, Sony will be looking very closely at this game. They'll be a lot more stringent if there's any waivers that are applied for. And I would even go further as to say that this particular game, the way it's basically been shoehorned through the cert process and out into the public eye, really is something that I think platform holders may consider making some changes and potentially making their certification a little more stringent, especially when it comes to the waiver process. There's many different reasons to apply for a waiver, and I definitely don't want to get into that, but it's there for a reason. It's not there to kind of game the system, and it seems like CD Projekt Red really just kind of race through that cert process as easily as they could in order to get this game out. So is this the last of the story? Well, who knows? Every day there seems to be another part of this puzzle, and we'll definitely keep a close eye on it. But guys, I'm going to leave it here. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below. As always, if you liked it, leave me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.